One, two, three,
Go.
go.
All right. Hey, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Paul Alderson. I work as a manager, coder, data nerd at FireEye. I cite into some things. Among other things, we like to gather data. So I'm going to walk through some things here, how we gather the data, how we analyze the data, and then provide some insights derived from that data over the last couple years. So on the left is some person who has a CNC server connected to lots and lots of infected bots. You see that he has a myriad of tools on the left-hand side there that he can command the botnet to do. In the bots, he can exfil creds and data and run keyloggers. He can launch DDoS attacks, various victims, and he can also invoke web-injects, take screenshots as people browse the internet. Core piece here is the emulator that sits in the middle. So for DDoS targets, the target is an IP or domain. If it's a keylog target, it's a process name. For web injects, it's a URL pattern, which we'll talk about in a sec. And then, so over the last year, we've recorded more than 1 million instances of targets. We distill that down to 58,000 targets with first seen, last seen dates. Then we extract out the domains. So as an example here, we've got two patterns on the top. They're typically regexes. We run that through some of my crappy code, and we pulls out 9 domains in the middle, suffixes on the TLDs on the right, and then prefixes on the left. So you get 36 domains, and then humans come in and start tagging these things like mobile, Italy, bank, finance. All right, so it's worth mentioning there's lots of hard-coded, lots of hard-coded items or default modules that are going to, like Pony is going to steal all the creds. You're going to have things that are going to just siphon off all posts. You're going to have to, so the malware injects or the web injects and targets are on top of any hard-coded stuff. So enough caveats, let's look at the insights. So as you might expect, the web injects will heavily target the countries with the larger banks and institutions. So not a surprise, you can see the US, UK, Australia kick off the top 3, followed by Italy and Germany, followed by Canada, Japan, Romania, and Singapore. And then for country growth, for these countries and more, there was constant growth across 2016. So in Q1, there was more than a dozen new targets each for Romania, Australia, and Japan. In Q2, there was new targets for Ireland, Canada, and a few more for Australia and Romania. Across all quarters, there's plenty of growth, if you will, in the US and the UK. And then, so the majority of these targets are banks, but let's take a look at a couple that are non-finance, or non-banks, but also in finance. So in 2016, the Vatrak nerds added new targets for the finance portal of the German fiduciary company. It's a wider portal around insurance, mortgage loans, and things like that. And then in Q4 of 2016, IntelliLink with Visa was added. So it's got merchant data, transaction data, a bunch of other stuff other than credit card data. In March and April of 16, Vatrak added targets for 2 major telecom companies. So they added T-Mobile, just a US site, and then later on they expanded it out to the global sites. Then they also, Verizon Wireless had some targets specifically around their single sign-on and Verizon Enterprise. Chat, there's been general targeting of Skype and Vatrak and other chat clients for several years. In March of 16, Dridex added new targets for Skype and the Skype API. In December of 16, we saw Vatrak add a new inject specifically targeting the chat support feature of Bank of America. In the fall of 2015, Timba added a couple gaming sports sites. So one was a gaming site and sports and casino games run out of the Brits, by the Brits out of Gibraltar. They have specific versions of their sites tailored for Romania, Turkey, Russia, as well as Dutch and English-speaking countries. And then as a special present for Steam gamers, in December of this last year, SteamPowered.com was added. Retail, in November and December of 2016, we saw new targets for Vatrak hitting retail sector, online targets for Walmart, my personal favorite, the accounting shopping pages of Newegg.com, and it was one of the first retail companies to accept Bitcoin back in 2014. Speaking of Bitcoin, oh yeah, perfect. All right, slide. Oh, come on. Oh no, it's breaking down. Pause. Oh, I'm screwed. All right. Bitcoin, targets, 2-factor authentication, worth watching. All right, social, way back in Q1 of 15, Dridex had a specific targets for AOL and Microsoft. 1 year later, they added Twitter as well as LiveRail.com, which was acquired by Facebook. Has added social media sites since the beginning, but added new injects for Twitter syndication domains and Live.com in December of 16. In May of 16, Vatrak added several different injects against an online legal research service, Westlaw.com. They have a single sign-on authentication system called OnePass. And that one pass is used for more than 30 different sites and services across all of their services, which are listed there. And so moving on to things like screenshots, and DDOS maintains a large list of screenshots triggered mainly on various banking websites, mixed with wildcard targets for wire transfers and ACH payments. They had a steady stream of updates over the last 2 years. In March of 16, several French banks were added, and in October of 16, several UK and Australian banks were added. So DDOS also has a form grabber, so they added 50 new targets in 16 in Q1. New targets for several Microsoft domains, including Microsoft APIs, Twitter syndication. In Q2, targets were added for HTTP services listening on non-default ports, so like anything, so usually associated with internal applications listening on 8080, things like that. Keylog targets. For keylog targets, most of them are financial. A steady stream of targets have been seen from DDOS over the years. In the fall of, no, it's failing again. There we go. All right, 6 months. All right, what do we got here? Keylogger stuff. Oh yeah, so the last one though was this Abacus framework target. So which is a data transfer thing using like XML and SOAP. The smoke loader targets also has keylog targets. So they are seen. We saw lots of stuff in 2016 from them. So lots of Bitcoin wallet applications, browsers, Microsoft Terminal server clients. Lots of instant messaging apps, and a bunch of new stuff in Q1 and Q2. So lastly, I've only scratched the surface here on the targets. There's still a lot to unpack with the specific HTML and JavaScript injects. There is and always will be visibility issues, and so much of this monitoring requires difficult ongoing RE work, and automation efforts have smaller and smaller shelf lives. If you get all that happy and working, then you have to add humans at the end
Done.
to look at the data.